One of the questions I get asked all the time: why homestead? Why raise gardens? Why tend to animals? Why spend all your spare time mending fences, working on projects, when life could be a whole lot easier? And honestly, I don't think it's because I enjoy making life hard. It's because I've noticed something. The more comfortable modern life becomes, the more restless people seem to be. We have more convenience than any generation in human history. We can order food without even leaving the house. We can watch thousands of movies from our couch, buy almost anything with a few taps on a screen, drive vehicles that are more comfortable than kings rode in 100 years ago. Yet, despite all that, people are still anxious, still lonely, still dissatisfied, still searching, still trying to fill something that doesn't seem to stay filled. Standing out here in this pasture, looking at these cows, has got me thinking about that. Because homesteading teaches you something pretty quickly. Growth rarely happens in comfort. The garden doesn't care if I'm tired. The animals don't care if it's raining. Josie doesn't care if I'm trying to talk to you guys. And the fence doesn't fix itself. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I love this lifestyle. Because every day it reminds me of something that our culture is trying to forget. Life isn't found in comfort. Life's found in purpose. And I think one of the greatest lies that we've been sold is the goal in life is to be as comfortable as possible. Work harder so life becomes easier. Buy more so life becomes easier. Remove inconvenience, remove struggle, remove hardship, remove sacrifice. Everything points back to comfort. But when I open my Bible, I don't see God calling people to comfort. I see him calling people to obedience. And those are not always the same thing. Amos 6:1. Woe to those who are at ease in Zion, and to those who are secure on the mountain of Samaria. Seems like a strange warning. God wasn't warning people who were starving. He wasn't warning people who were under attack. He wasn't warning people who were suffering. He was warning people who were comfortable, people who felt secure, people who thought everything was fine. Comfort is dangerous because it doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one morning and say, today I'm going to become spiritually lazy. It happens gradually. You stop depending on God because things are going well. You stop praying because things seem under control. You stop seeking because you think you've already arrived. Comfort has a way of convincing us that we don't need God. For me, all this that I'm talking about really hits home because, when we moved from the city in 2020 to a raw piece of land, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I knew there was going to be pitfalls. I was over ambitious about a lot of things. We gave up a place that was paid for to where all I had to do was work and pay the few bills I had, and I could have the freedom to spend any and all of my extra money on whatever I felt that I wanted, all the things of the world. But that still left me unsatisfied. And since moving out here to this homestead and doing these projects, even a lot of them that aren't even completed today, having friends like Cheeseburger here and Josie, that takes so much work and of my time. But what I realize is that when I'm comfortable, it's when all these things are done and I lay my head down at night and I'm able to really rest because I've spent time with God. I've been in the Bible. I've been in prayer. The lessons that I've learned through this homestead process, I can't even describe. I'd literally have to go back through each project one by one. But one thing I do know is God's been in it all. When you reflect back on your own life, you'll likely see that some of the greatest lessons you've ever been taught have been through circumstances that you wouldn't have chosen. The hard seasons, the frustrating seasons, the seasons where you have no other option but to trust in God. When you look through scripture, that's exactly what you see. Moses, David, Joseph, Paul, none of them great men of faith that we read about today were formed through something comfortable. Quite the opposite. Romans 5, 3, and 4. Not only this, but we also rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance, proven character, and proven character, hope. That is completely backwards from what culture teaches us. But it's the truth. Really look at your life. The things that you learn, whether it's working on a car or some sort of bad relationship you've had, you learned something very valuable from that. And it wasn't because it was easy. Scripture says God can use discomfort. Culture says avoid struggle. Scripture says struggle can produce character. Culture says avoid hardship. Scripture says hardship can produce hope. Some of the strongest people I know aren't strong because their life was easy. And then we get to one of the hardest things Jesus ever said. Matthew 16:24. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." Once again, it's a scripture that I've read multiple times on these videos, but it's one that we need every day. See, the Christian life was never about comfort. It was never about we follow Jesus so everything will be easy. No, it's quite opposite. If you're seeking comfort, you need to look for God because he's the only one that can truly deliver real comfort. As you see me here in my pasture, sitting here with Josie, my sweet little Dexter cow that sometimes puts a hurt on me. This is what the last 6 years of my life looks like. This is where I've been, starting from this raw piece of land right here to where I'm at now, 6 years later, with more than I would have ever dreamed. And yet some people look at it and think wouldn't be for them. A tiny house in the middle of the country. But I will tell you, I have never felt so much peace and comfort in my life. Making sure these cows are taken care of, making sure all these critters are taken care of, and just living the life that I know God's called me to do. So I encourage you guys all to press into that. Press into your purpose, into your calling. Sometimes you have to wait on God to see what that is. But for now, guys, remember, feed your critters, love your neighbor, and follow Jesus. And remember, you can tune in every morning for a scripture with Josie. A little short form. Thanks for watching.